They told her the outside world was poison, that the sky itself could steal her breath and the wind could rot her bones, that every step beyond the walls would lead to a slow and painful death. But what they never told her, what they buried beneath years of silence and fear and carefully crafted lies, was that the real danger had been inside the tower all along. And it had been watching her grow. High above a forgotten forest where no roads dared to pass and no travelers ever returned, there stood a tower with no doors, no stairs, and no visible entrance, just smooth, cold stone rising endlessly into the sky like it had been carved not by hands, but by something older, something patient. And inside that tower lived a girl named Elira. She had never seen the world. Not truly. She knew it only through stories, stories told by the only person she had ever known, a woman she called Mother, whose voice could shift from warm honey to sharp steel in a single breath. Elira's hair was unlike anything natural, long beyond reason, glowing faintly in the dark like threads of liquid gold, moving sometimes, even when there was no wind. And when she sang, softly, almost without thinking, the strands would shimmer as if they were alive. But Elira didn't question it. Because when you're raised in a cage your whole life, you don't know it's a cage. There were rules. There were always rules. Never look outside too long. Never speak to anyone but Mother. Never cut your hair. And most importantly, never, ever listen when the tower whispers. Because sometimes, late at night, when the world went silent and even the forest held its breath, Elira would hear something. Not a voice. More like a presence. A faint murmur woven into the air itself, brushing against her ears like a secret trying to remember how to be spoken. At first, she thought it was her imagination. Until one night, it said her name. It happened on a night when Mother didn't return. Which had never happened before. Hours passed. The silence stretched until it felt heavy, unnatural. And that's when the whisper came again. But this time, it wasn't outside. It was coming from her hair. Each strand began to hum softly, vibrating with a strange, almost painful energy, as if trying to speak through her, as if carrying memories that didn't belong to her. And then, images and flashes. A burning village and a crying infant. A woman running, not toward the tower, but away from something. Elira collapsed, gasping, clutching her head as the visions tore through her like a storm she couldn't escape. Because deep down, she knew. Those weren't dreams. They were memories. When Mother finally returned, her calm was too perfect, her smile too practiced, her eyes too sharp. Elira asked questions. For the first time, she didn't accept silence as an answer. And something shifted. Just slightly but enough. Mother's warmth cracked. And beneath it, something colder surfaced. You've been listening, she said, her voice no longer gentle, no longer kind, but something ancient and tired and dangerously close to anger. That night, for the first time in her life, Elira felt afraid of the only person she had ever trusted. Days passed. But the whispers didn't stop. They grew louder, clearer, more desperate. Leave, run, remember. And one morning, as sunlight poured through the narrow window, Elira made a decision that would shatter everything she had ever known. She climbed using her own hair, twisting it, anchoring it, pulling herself down the tower for the first time in her life. Every movement felt like breaking a rule written into her bones. Every second felt like the world itself was watching. And when her feet finally touched the ground, nothing happened. No poison, no death, no destruction, just wind, soft, real and free. And in that moment, everything Mother had ever told her began to unravel. The forest was alive. Not dangerous in the way she feared, but alive in a way she had never imagined. Colors she had never seen. Sounds that felt like music. But also something else. Eyes watching from the shadows. Not human, not animal, but something older. And they weren't afraid of her. They were afraid of what followed her. He had been tracking the tower for years. No one believed him. They called it a myth. A ghost story. But he knew better. Because he had seen what remained of the villages. Empty, burned and forgotten. And at the center of every ruin, strands of golden hair. When he saw Elira for the first time, stepping out of the forest like a dream that didn't belong in the real world, he didn't see a girl. He saw the answer. The truth didn't come all at once. It came in pieces. Fragments. Memories hidden inside her hair. Elira was never meant to be protected. She was meant to be contained. Her hair wasn't magic. It was a prison. A living seal, holding something ancient, something powerful, something that had once nearly destroyed everything. And Mother was never her mother. She was her warden. When Mother finally found her, the sky itself seemed to darken. No more lies. No more pretending. You were never supposed to leave, she said. And for the first time, Elira saw her clearly. Not as a protector, but as something trapped between duty and fear. Because if Elira was free, then so was what lived inside her. The whispers grew into screams. The power inside her began to break through. The world around them started to crack, like reality itself couldn't hold it anymore. And Elira realized she had two choices: return to the tower, and live a life of quiet imprisonment. Or break the seal, and risk becoming the very thing the world feared. In the end, she didn't choose the tower. And she didn't fully choose destruction either. She chose something far more dangerous: control, balance, a life where she walks the edge of something she may never fully understand. And as she disappeared into the horizon, her glowing hair catching the last light of the setting sun, the whispers didn't stop. They just changed. Because some stories don't end. They wait.